everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be going over what's going on with your self-worth based on your second house. So this video is going to apply to everybody. Everyone is going to have a sign occupying the second house. Now, if you guys are looking at the Placidus tropical system, you could potentially have two signs occupying that second house. The other sign could be intercepted. So you guys are going to have to take a look and see what's going on with your natal charts. Do you have an interception taking place, aka another sign also occupying that second house? I will put the link for interceptions in the description box below so you guys can learn a little bit more about those. But the way that I see it is if you guys do have an intercepted second house energy also taking place on top of the overall second house, well, in this particular case, there's probably going to be more of a focus on this energy. So keep this in mind because of the fact that the way that I see interceptions at least is like, and I'm not a psychologist, that's always one of my disclaimers, but usually this energy gets quote unquote swallowed up in the natal chart because of the fact that when you're younger and you're growing up, maybe the parents weren't able to nurture that energy within you for whatever reason. So now the energy is quote unquote intercepted. So the way that I see it is like there's more of a focus on it now because it's suppressed within the self. And the thing is, if the energy is there, it's still going to have to come out. Usually I find that the intercepted energies, the suppressed energies in a natal chart usually tend to go into the shadow of the energy first because you don't know how to deal with the energy. You never learned how to deal with it. You guys maybe were never even able to express it. So there's actually going to be more of a focus on this. That's the way that I see it at least. So definitely take a look and see if you guys do have an intercepted energy taking place in that second house. Otherwise, if you don't have an intercepted energy taking place in your second house, I mean, you're still going to have a sign in there. So this video is going to pretty much relate to everybody. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention is that the second house can mean a lot of different things. Today, we're just looking at the self-worth portion of the second house in today's video. So let's go ahead and jump into it for those of you who have Aries occupying the second house. So if you have Aries occupying the second house, well, in this particular case, actually, in terms of your self-worth, there should be a high level of self-worth actually taking place here. Aries is a very confident energy overall. They're very much starters. It is the cardinal fire energy. So they're very much self-motivated. They don't really need anyone to push them to do anything. As long as they have some sort of goal in mind, they will most likely go after that goal. So the thing is, at the end of the day, there's so many other things going on in the natal chart. And of course, there's always the light side and the shadow side of all of the energies. But overall, having the Aries energy in the second house, this could signify a lot of confidence, and you guys are probably going to find a lot of self-worth in, let's say, starting things, starting projects, being a manager, being a leader, being number one, being the best, sometimes even athletics for that Aries energy. And you know, a lot of the time Aries, because they want to be number one, they don't really do that well in like group things or group projects. Or sometimes the Aries energy kind of gives me the energy of just like someone who joined a band and then like, you know, they had the come up and then they kind of separate from the band to do their own thing. It's kind of like this vibe basically with the Aries energy. It's not really like a group effort type of vibe. Like they can work in a group if they have to, but ultimately they want to stand out. They want to be number one. They want to be the best, and that doesn't really happen in a group. They're always going to stand out in this way. So when it comes to your self-worth with the Aries in the second house, this is what you guys are getting your self-worth from essentially, okay? Starting things, being number one, being the best, being seen for this, being maybe even on some sort of stage. All the fire signs want to be on a stage in one way, shape, or form. Also with Aries, they might be interested even in entrepreneurship. So it could be like they might want to be a manager or a team lead, or they could be interested in entrepreneurship. So these are a few things that can take place in terms of your self-worth for those of you who have Aries occupying the second house. If you have Taurus occupying the second house, well, Taurus is basically at home here. The second house is the house for the Taurus energy. Now, what's interesting with having Taurus in the second house, Taurus overall deals with self-worth. So at the end of the day, it depends what is going on, whether the energy is in the light side or in the shadow side. But in a nutshell, basically the theme here is self-love, learning to love the self, really learning all about the self and loving every aspect of the self. I can see this manifesting into those people who are, let's say, self-love coaches, maybe after you guys have overcome this yourselves. It could be this, but ultimately your self-worth comes from actually loving the self and learning to love the self. So that's one of the ways you guys can get your self-worth. Now, another thing that can happen here too in terms of self-worth, in terms of what you guys are pulling from, could even be, let's say you guys are very good at money or finances or wealth, or you guys have your money in order and then maybe you guys help others as well. Like that's where your confidence and your self-worth could come from, when you guys have money, when you guys have the wealth. Let's say you guys don't have money, Well, in that particular case, it's a struggle because it's really going to hit the ego. Essentially, that's what the self-worth is all about. That's the way that I see it, at least, okay? And when people hear ego, they think of it as something negative. The ego is just our identity at the end of the day. So having that Taurus in the second house, like if you guys are struggling with money or you guys haven't mastered money yet, you guys could really take it to heart and it could really, really affect your self-worth. So money is basically going to be on the mind of these individuals, getting the money, getting the gains, getting the wealth. And then that's where you guys gather your self-worth from. And that's where the confidence comes from for this energy. Now, also, another thing too, it can also be anything to do with like living life through the senses. Sometimes Taurus energies, I find, can also be interested in cooking, for example. So the self-worth could maybe come from, let's say, being a good cook or something of this sort. It could be this, or also it could even be like, let's say you guys go on some sort of like luxurious experiences. The Taurus energy, the way that I always see it psychically in my mind's eye is like, it's basically those pages where they're like showing off a certain type of lifestyle, the house, the cars, the watches, the luxurious experiences, the vacations. So when you guys are able to achieve that, that's kind of what you guys are gathering your self-worth from. If you don't have those things, it could affect your self-worth essentially. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here, but those are basically a few things that can take place in terms of your self-worth if you have Taurus occupying the second house. Gemini in the second house. So what do you guys gather your self-worth from? And what's actually going on with the self-worth here? Well, Gemini energy is all about friends. It's all about communication. It's going to be also all about social media, let's say marketing, sales, all of these things. So that's where you guys are really building your confidence from. So let's say you guys struggle in the area of friendship, or maybe you guys don't have a lot of friends, or there could have been maybe a wound around this, especially let's say if Chiron is involved or something of that sort. Well, in this particular case, I find that this energy can very much go into that FOMO energy, like fear of missing out, or like always chasing after their friends, or always feeling like they might be left out, or just like feeling like people leave them out. And like that could really affect your self-esteem and even your self-worth. So in this particular case for Gemini in the second house, it's going to be really important to have a group of friends or a solid network, or even networking or being out there and meeting a lot of people. That's what you guys are going to basically gather your self-worth from, and that could also help you guys then build your confidence. So I'm kind of giving you guys both examples here, the light side and the shadow side, like what could be happening in terms of the self-worth and maybe why the self-worth might not, let's say, be necessarily strong, or, you know, you guys kind of might feel that hit to the solar plexus. That's the way that I see the self-worth, at least, is in the solar plexus chakra. That's also where your self-esteem is and your confidence and all of these things. So basically you guys are going to gather your confidence from your friends, from your groups of friends, from having friends, essentially. And if you guys are struggling in this area, it could affect your self-esteem, it could affect your self-worth, it could even affect your confidence. So putting yourself out there to basically build this, but it's like a chicken and the egg type of situation. Sometimes you have to have the confidence to start, but then also in starting, you will build the confidence as well. Okay, sometimes it's just about taking that leap of faith, obviously, if you guys so choose to. Now, the other thing that can take place here as well is you guys might gather your self-worth from speaking, communicating, being really smart, being really funny. Like that could really help you guys build that self-esteem as well. Being really intellectual, like learning about a lot of different things, that could really give you guys a strong sense of self-worth and eventually that strong confidence within the self as well. So these are a few things that can take place in terms of your self-worth for those of you who have Gemini occupying the second house. For those of you who have Cancer occupying the second house, what is going on with your self-worth? Well, first and foremost, if you guys don't maybe have a lot of confidence, or maybe you guys don't have high self-worth or something of this sort, there could be something going on here either with the mother or the home overall where it could have affected your self-esteem. So you guys might have to start there and do the exploration journey within the self to see what it could have been that could have affected your self-worth and your self-esteem. Now, the other thing that could be happening here as well for Cancer in the second house is that you guys gather a lot of your self-worth by being the nurturers. Now, you guys can look at this whether it's a positive thing or a shadow thing. The way that I see it is it could be positive, but it could also go into the shadow if you guys are kind of tending to everybody around you and you're not filling up your own cup. So this is going to be really important to learn to fill your own cup first, so then you guys go and tend to the people around you versus kind of burning yourselves out and then, you know, your cup is empty and you guys are super tired and all of these things. So that's the whole thing here. And as usual, I'm not a psychologist, but most things do start from childhood and they stem from childhood. So a lot of these things, it's like if you're doing something in an excess, it's probably because you guys got attention or like positive reinforcement for doing that thing. So you guys kind of create an identity around that thing. I mean, that goes for everybody, but in this particular case for Cancer in the second house, the identity here is being created through maybe being nurturing for everybody, tending to everybody, you know, kind of putting everybody else first. And you guys then might struggle with knowing who you guys are outside of that. I mean, it could absolutely be this, but some other ways that this energy could manifest could be in general, family could play a huge role. Again, whether it's like they affected your self-worth self-worth, or having your own family or being around family kind of, assists you guys with developing that self-worth as well. It could be this for Cancer in the second house. It could also be anything even to do with like your intuition, your emotions, sometimes even creativity, because the intuition and the emotions can lead to creativity as well. So you guys can actually build a lot of your self-worth through doing any of these things. I mean, the thing is, the way that I see it is your self-worth is connected to your self-esteem, and then also eventually it will help you guys build the confidence within the self. So that's kind of what the Cancer in the second house is, building the confidence within the self through. It's either going to be through family, it's going to be through your intuition, it's going to be through anything to do with homes, even like let's say you guys work in real estate, or you guys have a really nice home or something of this sort, where you guys do like the interior design of a home. Obviously depends on the rest of the energies in your natal chart as well, but that's kind of the idea here. So this is kind of where you guys are getting your self-worth from, and eventually building the self-worth within to build the confidence within the self as well. So these are a few ways the energy could manifest for those of you who have Cancer occupying the second house. If you have Leo occupying the second house, what is going on with your self-worth? Well, recently I made a short on this because this is just an observation that I made, that a lot of the time people who have Leo in the second house, Sun in the second house, even sometimes the Leo Venus, could very much struggle with their self-worth overall. Now, the second house deals with self-worth. Venus rules the second house. And then also Leo, I find, also tends to deal with the solar plexus chakra as well. Now, Leo is supposed to be the sun. It's supposed to be the shining star, the energy. But I find sometimes this energy can really, really struggle with the sense of self. They could actually struggle with the ego in this way, with their confidence, with the identity within, because Leo, a lot of the time, needs a lot of positive reinforcement or a lot of feedback from the crowd. Sometimes it's hard to start something and there's no feedback from the crowd. And sometimes you guys might have to do a placebo effect even to pretend that there's a crowd there, that you guys are getting that validation you guys are seeking, because this energy can get easily discouraged. I find that Leo also sometimes in the shadow really struggles with rejection. Like, it's a huge hit to their ego. It's a huge hit to their self-esteem when they do get rejected. Now, when I say rejected, it doesn't just have to be in a relationship or a romantic sense. It could be rejected in this way that I just gave you guys the example. Like, let's say you guys want to teach a class, or maybe you guys want to do like a stand-up comedy type of thing, and you guys go and maybe there isn't a lot of people there, or maybe you guys are just starting out and there's nobody there. For you guys to show up somewhere and there's nobody there, that's going to be a huge hit to the Leo energy's ego. But the thing is, you guys have to understand that everybody starts at zero, and you guys have to develop and build the solar plexus chakra, the confidence in the self and the self-worth, which is today's video, to eventually build that energy, that momentum within the self, the trust in the self, to attract more people towards you guys. So that's the struggle these days, especially when we see social media and all these things. People are always looking at numbers and likes and all these things, which is completely understandable. Sometimes people stumble upon these people when the audience is already established. They don't know maybe who that person was when they were just starting out. And that's the whole thing here. Like, unless you guys have connections or something of that sort, where like the numbers could get pumped up or like artificially pumped up, which is something that I find happens a lot on social media as well. It's like, it could be a struggle for the Leo energy and the Leo energy's ego to start something, put themselves out there, and like, again, have people see them trying, like kind of in this vulnerable state, but then not really getting the feedback that they are looking for. And then you guys might go more into your shell. So it's a matter of overcoming this energy. I find with the Leo energy, like I mentioned, there's different ways of going about this. Sometimes, doing the placebo effect, sometimes building the confidence by maybe doing certain classes, improv classes, putting yourselves out there to have more trust in the self, because this energy, I find, struggles with self-worth a lot, okay? Because again, second house is self-worth. Leo already struggles with that solar plexus chakra, but in the divine version, you guys are definitely gonna have a lot of confidence when you guys overcome these things. Like, you guys are really gonna be feeling yourselves, and then it's like, when you guys do develop that confidence and that strong sense of self, it's like nobody can really tear you guys down at that point in time. Of course, it can go into the extreme shadow where it's like too much of an ego, but we're not going to get into that today. We're just going to look at the divine version here, where it's like, again, you guys are feeling yourselves. It's a very confident energy. There's definitely the potential for this energy to have strong self-worth. It's just like, there's going to be a lot to overcome, I find, again, connected to the rejection wound, connected to sometimes in that vulnerability energy of like putting yourselves out there and not getting the feedback that you guys wanted. Because again, this energy really depends on the crowd, okay? To be there on the positive reinforcement from the crowd. And again, it's going to have to be a self-exploration to see where all that truly stems from. That's not for today's video. You guys can maybe explore that within yourselves, but that's the whole thing here, okay? So that's the idea here for the Leo in the second house and your self-worth. You guys can also gather your self-worth from, let's say, acting or being on some sort of stage. It could be poetry, it could be stand-up comedy, it could be doing presentations, like anything of the sort where you guys are in front of a crowd, because you guys feed off the energy of a crowd. It's just that things down here on this airplane take time to build, and it's always important to keep in mind most people are going to start at zero. So always have that at the back of your minds. And it's important to not get easily discouraged with this energy, with the Leo in the second house, because they can be prone to having that take place. So these are a few things that can take place for Leo in the second house and their self-worth. If you have Virgo occupying the second house, what could potentially be going on with your self-worth? Well, Virgo in the second house, a lot of the time this energy is going to gather their self-worth from being either a perfectionist, a great student, a great employee, being number one, maybe getting a lot of awards, a lot of achievements. Like that's where the self-worth comes from for this energy. So if that's not happening, you guys could maybe struggle with the self-worth within the self, or you guys can actually really be hard on yourselves with Virgo occupying that second house. All of this stems from, and I'm not a psychologist, that's my disclaimer as per usual, but as usual, everything stems from the childhood. So there's probably something going on here where you guys got a lot of positive reinforcement or attention from the family for being a really good student, or like kind of getting high grades, or doing really, really good in school, or getting a lot of awards. Like it doesn't just have to be school. Maybe it was something like, it depends on the rest of the energies in your charts, but it could have been something like, let's say dance or athletics or something of that sort. Like you guys are basically used to getting awards and achievements, and that could be where a lot of your self-worth is rooting in. Now this could be a struggle because it's like, let's say you guys were always an A student and then you guys have a C for like the first time ever. It could really affect you guys. The question here, is this really healthy, to constantly be on this like perfectionist type of energy, and like the one time something is off, it could really trigger kind of like a spiral type of energy. So just keep this in mind, that you don't have to be perfect all the time, that it's okay to not, be the perfect student. It's always great to do well in school. That is absolutely there. But the thing is, it's like, it's not just school. This is going to kind of trickle into every realm of your lives for having Virgo in that second house. And it's intense because sometimes you guys might not even have a chance to relax, or to just like kind of let things be, it's just like you're always under this constant pressure to be the best, to be perfect, to do, really well in whatever it is you guys are doing. Okay. So just keep this in mind. But overall, that's kind of where you guys are pulling your self-worth from. And again, if you're not achieving this, it could really be a hit to your self-worth and your self-esteem. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention for this energy as well, there is the potential here that you guys could have been either raised by a critical parent or parents, okay, for Venus in the second house. So you guys could be very, very critical of yourselves, okay? So that's a big thing that could be happening here as well. And it's like that could also affect your self-worth and your self-esteem if you guys are very critical of yourselves. And then in turn, this then turns into being critical of others. So it's like someone criticized you, you guys became critical of yourselves. And then sometimes it depends where you guys are at in terms of your own journey. But if you're super critical of others, that's because you hold yourselves to this high standard of perfection. And it's like, then you guys have to explore and see, where does this come from? So that could really affect your self-worth as well. It's like you guys might not be comfortable with receiving any sort of criticism, or like, let's say when there is criticism, it could really affect you guys, like ruin your whole day or something of the sort, because it's like, again, it stems from childhood. Like I mentioned, I'm not a psychologist, but that's where everything does stem from. And it's like, something going on here with the parents where, again, either you got the positive reinforcement from them, or it's like they just expected you guys to be the best in school or whatever it is, or just like be the best kid. Like it could have manifested so many different ways, but that's kind of like the idea here, okay? So a lot of your self-worth is tied to basically being perfect, and this energy wants to be perfect so people don't criticize them. That's where like the whole perfectionism thing comes from. It's like from the fear of being criticized. So it's like sometimes you have to kind of just change the perception on criticism and just see it as, sometimes these people are helping you build directly, okay? Maybe in a little bit of a different way, but you guys can kind of explore within yourselves and see how can you kind of rectify the energy within, or how can you kind of put a positive twist on this energy so it doesn't affect you as much, okay? Because that's the thing. If you guys receive any criticism, it's going to hit that solar plexus chakra, which is the self-worth, the self-esteem, and the confidence within the self, and then it could really affect you guys. So that's gonna have to be a longer video for a different day, how all of this is connected, the self-worth, the confidence, the self-esteem, and then in turn the ego, and like what the identity is created around as well, okay? Because this is all connected to the solar plexus chakra. But I'm sure you guys get the idea here. So this is what you guys are getting your self-worth from, and how potentially your self-worth could be affected. So once again, with Virgo, it could literally be your self-worth is contingent upon being a perfectionist, doing really well at school or at work, or even it could just be like the health, healing, and being of service industry. Like Virgo can also be one of those energies that burns themselves out as well, because they are tending to everybody's needs, and then they don't tend to their own, like they don't fill their own cup. So it could be this as well, because the Virgo energy can sometimes go into a doormat energy. So it's like sometimes it's like because you guys have learned to extract your self-worth from kind of tending to everybody, it's like then you guys don't tend to yourselves, or it's like there could be this like relationship of like if you guys put yourselves first or something of that sort. Again, because the ego or the identity was created around this thing, it's like it could be a shock to you guys, or if there's nobody around you to tend to, it can also be a hit to, again, the self-worth. I'm sure you guys get the idea here, but that's basically the idea and a few things that can take place in terms of your self-worth if you guys have Virgo occupying the second house. Next, we have Libra in the second house. So for those of you who have Libra occupying the second house, what is potentially going on with your self-worth? So first of all, Libra deals with friendships, relationships, partnerships, romantic relationships, like interpersonal relationships of all kinds. It can also deal with fashion, beauty, things that are like the finer things in life, like art and all of these wonderful things. And it can also deal with contracts, legal things. So what does this mean for your self-worth when you have Libra occupying that second house? Well, in this particular case, it could be a little bit of a struggle because a lot of your self-worth could actually be derived from, let's say, relationships. So it's going to be up to you guys to see what's going on internally and, you know, how are you guys approaching relationships? Because if it's in the shadow of the Libra energy, which usually everybody tends to be in first, until they transmute the energy and they go into the divine version of the Libra energy. But in the shadow of the Libra energy, this energy always wants to be in a relationship. They can struggle with being alone. They can be very codependent. This energy can very much settle. They could take whoever is there just so they don't have to be alone, just so they can be in a unit, just so they can have a partnership. And it doesn't just have to be in the romantic sense. I mean, this could also manifest in terms of friendships as well. You know, sometimes the Libra energy, when it's really, really in the shadow, it can very much go into that little puppy dog energy where they're just like chasing after people, whether it's friends, whether it's lovers. Honestly, in the situation when it's lovers, it's sometimes even worse because unfortunately, you guys might end up in situations with toxic people where they might take advantage of this trait if they see that within you. Unfortunately, that's just the way that this earth plane is. It's filled with light people and a lot of dark people as well. So this is why it's important to master what's going on within the self so people don't take advantage of these traits. But absolutely, this energy could struggle with this. Like a lot of the self-worth is going to absolutely be derived from people, okay? Is really, really what it is here. So that being said, this energy could struggle with being alone. Again, whether it's because of a friendship or whether it's because of a relationship or romantic relationship or whatever it is. So that's important to keep in mind. In the divine version, it's going to be some sort of healthy relationship and that's going to bring through stability for you guys. But again, you guys are going to have to explore like how are you approaching relationships and, you know, are these people that you should actually be with, or are you just kind of taking whoever just so you guys don't have to be alone? So that's the struggle with the Libra in the second house. The next thing here in terms of where you guys are getting your self-worth from or what's going on with the self-worth is going to be connected to things like fashion, beauty, you know, looking nice, dressing up nice, like being put together. Like that's really going to make you guys feel good. Like this energy probably, like even if you guys work from home or maybe you guys aren't really, you know, engaging out there with the world, you guys are still going to dress cute or look nice because it's like that's where the confidence is being derived from. Okay, I really, really hope that makes sense. And same thing, like, you know, when people have those mentalities where it's like, you never know who you're going to meet at the grocery store, like that's definitely going to be this energy, okay? The Libra in the second house, like they're always going to try to look cute or look their best, okay? When they are doing anything, really, that's where the confidence comes from for this energy. That's where the self-worth is derived from. So if you see a Libra in the second house person and they're not dressed cute, I mean, definitely check up on them. Like something is going on there for sure. If they're looking disheveled and just like they're not kind of like on top of their game, like something is off. Like make sure you check up on your Libra in the second house friends to see what's really going on here. But all jokes aside, that's the idea here. That's where you guys are kind of gathering the self-worth from. That's where it's rooting from. Like I mentioned, it's coming from friendships, it's coming from relationships, it's coming from people that you know, the people around you, you know, fashion, beauty. It could even come from your intellect even. That's where you guys kind of gather your self-worth. It could come from maybe being funny, being a social butterfly, all of these things, okay, with the Libra energy. Maybe you guys are, let's say, a lawyer, or you're in the legal world, or you know a lot about contracts. That could really build your confidence as well, okay? That's the way that I see it. The self-worth then in turn builds the confidence in the self as well. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Libra occupying the second house and your self-worth. Next, we have Scorpio in the second house. So what is going on with the self-worth for these individuals? Well, first and foremost, the Scorpio energy always has some sort of silent confidence to them, okay? And the question always is, where does this confidence come from? Ultimately, for the Scorpio and the second house individual, the confidence within the self and the self-worth is actually going to be rooted in mainly their intuition, okay? And trusting their intuition. So So if you're not in tune with your intuition and you're disregarding your emotions and you're not in tune with that heart space, and maybe you guys have cut yourselves off from this, it's going to really do you a disservice here, because this is where a lot of the confidence is rooted from for these individuals. It's because of their intuition, and the intuition for them is connected to having situations play out in a way where they saw they were right or where they trusted their intuition. So the more that you guys trust your intuition, if you have Scorpio in the second house, the more you guys are developing the confidence within the self, the self-worth, and even that strong self-esteem. So to the external person, this might come off as a mystery. They might wonder, like, where is the confidence coming from? And it's coming from this. As time goes on and as you guys start to believe in the self more and more and trust the self more and more, especially the intuition, which I personally believe is the guiding factor down here on this earth plane. It's that internal compass. It's actually our connection to God, source, and the creator. So everyone has an intuition. If you follow your intuition, things kind of fall into place for you, because it's kind of like all that we really have in terms of, like, when people talk about like the memory being wiped down here. I mean, that's a different conversation for a different day, but it's really this, like, the feeling aspect of things is going to lead you. So when you have Scorpio in the second house and you trust in this, and the more you trust in it, again, it's like a chicken and the egg, because you have to start trusting it to trust in it more, essentially, and to develop the confidence within. But the more the time goes on, this is where the confidence essentially gets rooted from for the Scorpio individual. Now, another thing that might happen for this energy for Scorpio in the second house is the sexuality aspect of things. So you guys may have noticed for Scorpio in the second house, you may have been, let's say, over-sexualized from a young age. So sometimes what might happen for individuals with this energy taking place in their natal chart is you guys might actually then start sexualizing yourselves without even realizing you're doing this, because of the fact that this was brought to your attention. I really, really hope that makes sense. It was brought to your attention maybe from a young age, or that's how you guys got attention or something of this sort. So then sometimes it's like maybe made you feel uncomfortable. So sometimes for people, what they do subconsciously, and this is all subconsciously, I'm not a psychologist, but these are just my own observations. It's like what happens for people is sometimes for them to reclaim their power, they kind of try to quote unquote like beat the other person to it. I hope that makes sense. So sometimes this energy, what they might do is they might sexualize themselves first. Now you guys can think about this for yourselves, whether you think this is a positive thing or a shadow thing, but this is something that could also happen for this energy as well, because the self-worth within the self could have in one way, shape, or form been derived from this or rooted in some sort of experience that is connected to this. I hope that makes sense. So that's another thing that can happen for this energy, the hypersexualization, but of the self, rooted in being hypersexualized from a young age. Okay, so again, you guys are gonna have to do the exploration on that if that does resonate. Next, the other thing that can happen here for this energy as well, a lot of the self-worth and confidence can also come from, let's say, you know, your knowledge maybe in occult topics, astrology, all of these like metaphysical things. It could be this, and it could be in money. Okay, so that can also be another thing. And also, of course, power, because down here on this earth plane, money does equal power. So yes, the more that you guys accumulate finances and wealth, it's going to give you guys a sense of power and control in your lives, which ultimately Scorpio is after. And then that also could be where you guys derive your confidence from, your self-worth from. But again, same thing, just like what I was saying for the other energies, you don't want to go into the shadow of the energy, because sometimes the question is, you know, you start accumulating and you want more. And the question then is, at one point, is it enough? Okay, so I really, really hope that makes sense. But that is the overall idea here for what could be happening in terms of your self-worth if you have Scorpio occupying the second house. If you have Sagittarius occupying the second house, what is going on with your self-worth? Well, first and foremost, Sag is all about the higher mind, philosophies, religion, travel, fun, adventure. So you guys can gather a lot of your confidence from all of these things. Like, that's what your self-worth could be rooted in, okay? It could be maybe rooted in traveling, moving around, being smart. Sag is a very, very smart energy, being witty, being funny, being charming. Sag on their own energetically, they already have the confidence because of the fact that Sagittarius is actually Zeus in Greek mythology, which is Jupiter. And then also, if we look at it in religions, it's going to be Jesus energy, okay? So that's why a lot of the time, the Sagittarius energy kind of has that quote unquote God complex, or they like think very, very highly of themselves. So having Sag in the second house, there's going to be a lot of confidence here, okay? Of course, when it is in the divine version, keep in mind, if Sag is in the shadow version, it could also go into the extreme energy of maybe not having the confidence in the self as well, because Jupiter blows up whatever area it's in. So here, the confidence is being blown up through the roof. The trust in the self, the belief in the self, like this energy just trusts that things are going to work out for them. They kind of have that energy of just like believing in the universe, that they are where they are meant to be. Like, it's the spirituality energy here is really what it is, because it is Jupiter at the end of the day. They truly do believe that things are going to work out for them. So having Sag occupying your second house is really going to give you guys a lot of confidence, of course, in the divine version. Keep in mind, of course, we have the shadow version where the Sagittarius energy could blow this up in the negative sense as well. But more often than not, I find that this energy really goes into the positive direction. And of course, it depends on the rest of the energies in your natal charts and what else is going on in here. But yes, overall, a lot of confidence here. The confidence could be derived from or rooted in, let's say, travel, moving around, your knowledge. It could be, let's say, philosophies, like the fun adventures you guys go on. It could be athletics sometimes for Sagittarius energy as well. It could be entrepreneurship. It could be like, let's say, being a motivational speaker. Like that's really this energy, okay? There's going to be a lot of confidence here. And honestly, just having fun in general, like being lighthearted, approaching life in this way, like looking every day as an adventure is going to really give you guys that strong sense of self-worth and confidence. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Sagittarius occupying the second house. Next, we have Capricorn occupying the second house. So what is going on with your self-worth here? Well, Capricorn, a lot of their self-worth is going to be rooted in work and more work. This energy definitely is going to have a little bit of workaholism connected to it. Absolutely. This energy definitely gets a lot of their self-worth from feeling productive, completing tasks, completing goals, getting the money, getting the gains, getting the status. So it's like if you have Capricorn and it's in the second house and you guys don't have these things, that's when it's going to be a hit to the self-esteem, to the self-worth. You guys might not be feeling yourselves at that point in time. But let's say you guys are working toward these things, the money's flowing in, you guys see your bank account growing and everything is building around you, and you guys are kind of climbing either, the corporate structure, the social echelon of society. You guys are meeting certain people, like certain people of status. Maybe you're having mentors or like mentorships with other people, like whatever it is, as long as you guys are basically getting that status and getting the money and building something and elevating in your lives, that's where your self-worth is going to be derived in, okay? It's really, really what it is. And at the same time, if it isn't panning out in this way, it could be a hit to the self-worth and to the self-esteem for that Capricorn energy in the second house. So it's all about building, getting the gains, getting the money, getting the wealth, meeting certain people, getting the status, getting the recognition in this way as well. And this energy doesn't back down. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the Capricorn in the second house energy does not back down until they get to where it is that they're trying to go. Now, obviously, it might not apply to everybody. Depends what else is going on in the natal chart. But that is the overall idea here for what is going on with the self-worth for those of you who have Capricorn occupying the second house. If you have Aquarius occupying the second house, what could potentially be going on with your self-worth? Well, Aquarius is all about individuality, being eccentric, being different, being against the grain, being a rebel, challenging the status quo. So that's where you guys are going to get a lot of your self-worth from, okay? It's going to come from being different, being unique, being your own self, being your authentic self, being true to yourself. So if you guys are maybe struggling with your self-worth or your self-esteem, there's probably an element here of yourselves that you guys are either hiding, suppressing, you feel like you can't express it for whatever reason. But thing is, with like confidence building and all these things, I find it to be like a chicken and the egg type of situation. Yes, you have to have the confidence to start, but it's like sometimes in starting and putting yourself out there, you're going to build the confidence. So this is what I mean by chicken and the egg. Sometimes you just have to start. Sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. Sometimes you just have to be your own true self, your own authentic self, and be accepted for this. And that's how you guys are going to start building that self-worth, the belief in the self, and all of these wonderful things. Now, another thing too, Aquarius does deal with friendships, but I always see Aquarius as higher-minded friendships, like building communities that are working together for some sort of higher mission or higher cause, or to like assist the collective in one way, shape, or form. So maybe you guys are engaged in this, and that assists your self-esteem and your self-worth, and it helps you build your confidence and the confidence within the self. It could be this. Also, it could be anything to do with like social activism, philanthropy, humanitarianism, like all of these wonderful things are going to also, maybe by you guys being involved in them, help you with your self-worth and building that self-worth. And of course, Aquarius also deals with anything to do with STEM, I find. So like science, tech, engineering, and math. Okay, so you guys might be involved in this world as well. And that could kind of give you guys the confidence within the self. It can help you guys build your self-worth. One time, actually, interestingly enough, because I'm psychically seeing this, I'll tell you guys, one time I went to my old university just like randomly, and then I happened to walk into some sort of like science presentation situation that they were having. Like it was kind of like it was the gym, but it was like everybody had a different type of science project that they were kind of showing the other people. I don't know what the name of it was, but I found it to be really, really interesting because like there was a lot of creative things that were going on in there. Like that's very much at Aquarius in the second house. You know, being able to present your ideas and then getting the positive feedback for it is definitely going to assist you guys with your self-worth, your confidence, and the belief in the self, as all of these things are ultimately connected at the end of the day. And of course, it could be in the world of tech, AI, innovations, bringing through inventions, and all of these wonderful things as well. So these are a few things that can take place in terms of your self-worth for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the second house. If you have Pisces occupying the second house, in terms of your self-worth, what is going on here? Well, one thing that I will mention for Pisces is Pisces tends to merge and they tend to struggle with kind of differentiating what's going on with them and what's going on with other people. So what I will say for Pisces in the second house is you guys are going to have to really take a lot of time to actually figure out yourselves and what do you guys truly want, because you guys actually might be internalizing a lot of the time what other people want for you. And then because maybe you guys get positive reinforcement from them or positive feedback, it's like it kind of builds that self-worth or that confidence within the self, but it might not necessarily be what you guys want. So that's something to keep in mind for the Pisces energy, especially Pisces in the second house, because it's like a lot of maybe your confidence or your self-worth could be projections from other people and it might not actually be what you guys truly want. So taking time to yourselves, figuring out what you guys truly want, or you guys truly like what really lights that fire within for yourselves could really assist you guys when you guys have Pisces in the second house. Now, some other things that you guys could kind of derive your self-worth from could be anything to do with the psychic world, the metaphysical world, you know, anything to do with maybe even like tarot. Any of these things could absolutely be things of an interest for you guys. And the more maybe that you guys engage in this world, maybe you guys get, let's say, positive reinforcement or feedback, it'll help you guys build the self-worth. Absolutely. It could also be art, okay, for Pisces in the second house. So artistic types of things. So this is honestly on a huge range because Pisces is on a huge range. So it could, let's say, be like poetry. It could be, let's say, making a movie or a film or screenwriting or writing a book. Maybe it's going to be acting, being on a screen, okay? So it depends on the rest of the energies in your natal chart because Pisces is so vast to see how this energy might manifest. But any of these things you guys might get your self-worth from. The self-worth could be rooting in any Piscean types of things. Of course, they could deal with emotions, feelings, being in tune with your emotions and your feelings, and just like honestly the unconditional loving type of energies as well, romance, romanticizing life, like all of these things could help you guys build your self-worth. So with that being said, these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Pisces occupying the second house. So my dear friends, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I do hope you guys enjoyed my video on what's going on with your self-worth and your second house. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.